Well, I have to be because I sink in this chair. Hi, Ms. Kinsler. How are you? Good. Great. Okay. We're ready to begin. Good afternoon and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council special workshop. They're all special, but today's is special too. Tuesday, September 18th, 2018. It's approximately 5:30 in the evening, and all council members are present with the exception of Councilor Jordan. I believe he said he would be here today. At least that was the email I got, so he must be on his way. So that's agenda item number 1. Just wanted to welcome everyone, and there's such a small attendance, but if you have a cell phone, there he is. He's on his way. That's what I said. If you'll silence your cell phones, please. And Ms. Posley, are we streaming? Okay, so please speak into your microphone because we do have our visitors from home looking in. So with that, I believe we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance at the regular City Council meeting. So agenda item number 2 is our workshop, the process of ordinances, and we have City Manager Kelly Kinsler here to start our discussion. So thank you very much, Ms. Kinsler, for being here. And welcome, Mr. Jordan. We're glad to see you. Yes, great.
We have a PowerPoint that I've prepared, Mayor.
Thank you.
That I thought might be beneficial. So what I'd like to, what you requested was that we go over the process of an ordinance and how an ordinance is created in Leon Valley. So the first thing that I think, where's the little clicker thing? There we go. The first thing I think we need to discuss is what does the charter say? What did the citizens say when they voted on the charter last November, what an ordinance would look like? And section 3.11 of your city charter actually has an A, B, a C in it. A talks about passage of the ordinance, and I won't read the whole thing for you, but that's what it says has to happen when an ordinance is passed. So I'll let you digest that for a second. And that's when we had to get used to the whole 2 separate reading thing. The only exception is if it's an emergency, and then we can do 1 reading. 3.11b talks about how do we enact an ordinance, and it gives you the wording. That's the way an ordinance would start, and it has to be signed by either the mayor or the mayor pro tem, and then authenticated by the seal of the city secretary and her signature as well. And then finally, your home rule charter says that you must publish the ordinance, and it tells you what you have to do up there to publish it. Your official newspaper is the Helotes Echo because it's less expensive, and an ordinance is required to be published under this section, and it takes effect the day after it's published.
Is that on all ordinances, Ms. Kinsler? They go into the paper?
Yes, unless it's emergency ordinance does as well.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I realized that.
No.
Did y'all?
Oh, emergency order does not go
No,
in the paper?
the only ordinances that are published are those with a penalty.
Oh, okay.
Oh, with the
All right.
penalty.
Oh,
okay. All right, with the penalty. All right, so if they don't have a penalty, they're
Oh,
not
it says it
published.
right up there.
They're not published. Okay,
Okay.
very good.
The caption or title and penalties of every ordinance imposing any penalty, fine, or forfeiture. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and then you have to codify your ordinances, and you have the power to cause the codification. You can correct an ordinance, amend it, revise it, etc. And that's what your charter says, is the A through D.
Mm-hmm.
That's your process for establishing an ordinance in your city. And that is brand new to you because we just started that, of course, in November, not even a year ago, 10 months ago. So this is what I understand the discussion items to be, but of course, we made the category very broad, so you all discuss whatever you want to discuss. But I had the city secretary come in and join me for this slide to make sure that we were on the same page. And this is the ordinance that we see through the committees that are vetted right now. So any offenses, traffic, animals, nuisance ordinances would go through Citizens Police Advisory. Signs are going to go under the new Sign Code Update Advisory Committee that y'all are creating. Zoning, building, and business regulations go to the Zoning Committee. And City Parkland is the City Parkland and Tree, that actually should have said City Park Committee, but that would be City Parkland and Tree Preservation. What ordinances do not need vetting at this time? Records retention, those yearly ordinances that we have to do all the time. The financial and taxation ones. Vicki tries to do a lot of those by resolution, so she didn't have to do the 2 readings. Fire prevention and protection ones. Health and sanitation. Most budget adjustments don't have to. Personnel, like an exception I can think of with the budget adjustment is I probably wouldn't bring you a budget adjustment for an economic development project without going through the Economic and Community Development Group. Personnel does not have to be vetted through any committee. Utilities and fee schedules. And your fee schedules are usually done by a study, or at least a study of other suburban areas if it's not a professionally done study. And so those were the discussion items that I thought of. I don't know if you all have more. I'm missing something up here. But again, the agenda item is very broad. It's a workshop, so anything's up for discussion as far as it relates to the ordinances.
Sounds good. Okay. I guess what I was thinking is, are there some ordinances that don't need to be vetted by a committee that can come straight to the council for action? And I guess I was thinking of, and I don't know if we've done it yet, and that is when we were going door to door for the Home Rule Charter, the one ordinance that kept coming up was the golly, Geely, Whizzy, Chrissy, what are you doing here? Where they
Sign?
charge people. No,
fees.
I don't know why I'm blank on it, and I just thought about it when I was driving. So, okay, we had the cell phones, but that was regulated by the state, so we didn't have to do that. The other one is the payday lenders.
Oh, okay.
We haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't.
And that was one that we picked up, in the community. That was one of the examples we gave when we went door to door. So I'm thinking, can that just come directly to council and not go through a committee? I mean, I'd like to hear from my other colleagues. But the other thing was when Councilor Mayor Pro Tem and I were meeting, the animal code came, and it was kind of at your suggestion, Mayor Pro Tem Alcacer, that we vet it through a broader, and that would be the coffee. And so it didn't, even though it went through the Citizens Advisory first, but before coming to council, it's now going to go to the coffee on October 27th. So I'm thinking, okay, how do we know which ones need broader,
Sure.
And so those are the kinds of questions
Oddly
I
enough,
was
Ken's
thinking.
5 was here today about that ordinance
Ken's
and the
5
coffee.
was
Wanting
here
to know.
about, really?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, wanting to know
Very
about
good.
Didn't come across well.
what. Oh, did really? They were wanting to know what the current ordinance is, and
Well, because
I invited them to the council
what
to the
was
coffee.
featured was a man who has about 10 or 12 animals now, and you were on, which was fine. But they talked. He said, "I've been here 18 years. I have 2 acres. Now you're going to tell me I can only have 4 animals?" And he had goats and cats and horses, not horses, but anyway, those are things we have to consider. And he was saying it's one of the things we had discussed is the size and how much really we need to do. And do we do something because one person complains, or do we do it more universally, which is what I would tend to do as necessity, not just automatically, oh, I got a complaint yesterday, let's do something about it. That just isn't fair to me, to rest
Yeah,
of
I
the
didn't know
city.
why KINS 5 knew about, and they knew that we were looking at the ordinance, and so I invited them to the coffee so they could, I said that you all wanted to vet it through, the community, so.
Right.
I don't,
They said it was coming later this month, too, so.
yeah, I would not commit to a date, because in the city manager's report, you're going to see, I'm going to ask you to see if you want to pick a different date for the coffee, and I'll explain why, and so that's why I wouldn't give her a date.
Okay, well, that was good then.
Yes, thank you.
Well-
Counselor Martinez?
This issue, coming over here tonight, this issue was also made it to ham radio. Somebody
Animal-
came,
the animal
somebody,
control?
somebody
Really? Wow.
mentioned
realize
that, hey, what's this law in Leon Valley about the animals? So it's making
Been
the
on the
rounds.
books forever.
Who in the world would have ever thought? My goodness. Chickens and feral cats and horses. Oh, my.
Goats.
Anyway,
Goats.
I feel like, goats. I feel like we have a poem here. Who else would like to weigh in on the ordinance and the process or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Martinez.
One of the things that I would like to see is getting these ordinances way before the Friday before a council meeting. A lot of these ordinances have come up 2 and 3 months. There's been a lot of work prior to it coming up. I would like to see them, even in its original state, and then as it progresses through the channels and marked up and stuff, let us know the changes and stuff. That way we're kept abreast of it, and we know what's going on, and we can answer intelligent questions from people that just hit us out in society.
So basically, instruct the directors to, once they get an ordinance past a particular vetting committee, to go ahead and shoot it to the council, knowing that it's going to be an upcoming, is that what you're saying?
As soon as possible, even if it's before the committee, just,
Before the committee, though, if the committee has suggested changes, are you wanting all the revisions, or?
that would be fine with me.
Yeah. I don't know how the rest of
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about, all the revisions. I think once we see a document, we can see what's been cut through and
Exactly,
added. I
exactly.
think that's what I'd like to see. But I guess what I'm thinking, or wondering is how do you know we need an ordinance? I mean, does it just come up from,
So one way we know
I
is
know a lot of
that,
times we amend, but I'm saying an original ordinance.
one way we know is a situation arises.
Okay.
A good example is the small cell tower things that people started putting up, and all of a sudden there was emails in mass going out from city managers, groups everywhere going, does anybody know anything about this? Anybody know how to do this? And, they started attaching these small cell nodes, is that what you call them? And so all of a sudden we realized, we need, we probably need some legislation on this. And it literally ended up going to the legislature in Texas last time. And so people are still in that process right now. So that's one way you know. Another way you know is you get a complaint that something's not working. And so then you would amend
Okay.
an ordinance.
Okay.
You now have the power to craft or draft any ordinances because you're a home rule city.
That's a really good example, because I'm just thinking about the big truck traffic in the neighborhood.
There you go. There's another
That's a
one.
good example where
The
we
neighbors-
got complaint after complaint after complaint. And so we
Resident
brought
complaints,
it.
absolutely.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. That's right. Okay.
So they can come in many ways.
But I guess,
That,
is it the consensus is to go through committees, or what goes through which
Well-
committees and which could come directly to council? Do you know what I'm saying? I just don't
Yeah.
know if there's a
That's
distinction.
up to you all. That's what the city secretary and I believe is now. But if you want to change that around, you're the policymaker. Let us know what you want to do. I'm just trying to give you a picture of what I think it looks like now. And in that way, if you want something different, let us know.
what I would, going along with Mr. Martinez's idea, I would like to see it more, not just as sent to us, but when, like I was trying to get what was going on in the police advisory tomorrow, and half the time it wouldn't even come up, what we were sent, and there wasn't much detail on it. I got the idea, but if it's going to be an ordinance in particular, if we could have the ordinance at enough ahead of time, not like, I think we received this a day or two ago. I just saw it this morning, actually, or last
I think
night.
it was
What ordinance
Monday.
are we talking about?
It's not an ordinance,
Friday
but the
morning?
commission, the police commission. Well, it didn't come, I didn't get it Friday, but anyway. No, this
We don't
packet
have one
was
on this
okay.
packet.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
What, I'm not trying to say that we're doing something wrong. What I'm trying to say is, in addition to getting what's on a particular committee, if it's going to be an ordinance and they're going to be presented it like this, I think very far out animal ordinance that came through, had actually gone through the police
Yeah, it
advisory,
had.
and
Yeah, it
and
has.
it's those things.
We didn't know that, I don't think, did we?
Right, no,
Yeah,
we
did
didn't
not
know that,
Mhm.
and if that's gonna happen, that's what we ought to get advised of well enough in advance so we can have some input, also, or at least go to the,
Committee meeting.
committee meeting, and, then be made aware, like the zoning, I really like the idea of the extra zoning meetings, although I don't know how many others, but I would like to have the extra zoning, because those are important things and kind of permanent, with the zoning committee. So, but it also would be helpful if these ones are gonna keep coming through the police advisory, that we have some forewarning well before, so,
So how about what I do is I email the directors and let them know when they're emailing the agenda and the attachments to any of the committees, that they just send that to the council as well.
I think that'd be good.
Does that sound like good? I think that would solve it easily. Then all they would, that's the only thing that would have to happen, is that the directors would send one extra email to the council so you knew it was on the agenda and you knew the attachments.
little
Would that work?
earlier than like the one that came for tomorrow's meeting, just came. But if it had come last week, you know, not that I'm saying this was an important meeting, but, and I don't even know if there's any ordinance going in, but if we have the information ahead of time, not just a day or two, so we can get some idea if we need to be at the meeting,
Okay.
or at least read about it.
So other than police advisory, I think most of them send notice out way ahead of time. And so they schedule their meetings way ahead of time, but
monthly.
they don't get their packets until a day or two before. So we'll work on that. And
Just
then
if
we'll
it
ma-
relates to the ordinances or something that they're expected to pass, that we're going to have to,
Well, we'll do that, and I think we'll just make it just a general directive for me that just says any committee packet and agenda comes to you. That way, if you want to come, you can, and if you don't, you don't. But at least you're in the loop. How does that
Okay.
sound?
And then, I guess it's like, if you, I'm telling you, if you hadn't been at our pre-council meeting, that animal ordinance might have been on for here. But you had a different perspective because you have horses, and you said, boy, this is a big, and I'm really glad we have put it off, because the ordinance is like this big, 200 pages or something. It's huge. I haven't finished reading it, but so how do we determine which ones go to a coffee or more? Will it just be on an as-needed basis as it comes? Is that how you want to handle it?
well, partly, but like this animal one, how much of it do we really need? And that's what I'm saying, if we have one complaint or two complaints, which is what I think triggered it, it doesn't seem to me like a fair way to approach having an ordinance, because somebody's called me 5 times and complained about a feral cat.
So the animal ordinance, that's definitely not a two-complaint ordinance. The mayor and I can both attest to that one. Those are
Triggered
all
the
the
most
time.
recent one. But it's, it's the various, I like animals, I don't like animals. I like them, I don't. So that's why I would rather not jump into something, but let these people that are voice everywhere but at the city council, that they want something done, well, let them come to like a coffee or whatever.
And so that's what we're doing with that ordinance, is we're
Right, well, I
dissecting
know-
it at the
I realize
coffee.
with
Yeah.
that, but I still think it's way too broad, and it was triggered by a couple of complaints.
No, the animal ordinance was triggered by, I mean, for
many-
as long as I've been here, right? We've
How
been
many
getting
have
complaints.
complained about horses? That's
Oh,
what I'm
nobody.
saying.
Nobody, it was,
Way too
it was
broad.
feral cats and chickens during,
And
for
some
months.
dogs, but
I'm
mostly
telling you.
feral cats and chickens all
I
the
got a
time.
lot of
When
them.
we're dealing with it, then we
Chicken
should
phone
deal
calls.
with the feral cats and chickens.
Right.
And that's what I'm
Okay.
saying, and
Rather than looking at the ordinance as a whole, just those
Right.
pieces.
Okay.
And I think that ordinance, it's an old ordinance, old. I just can't remember the year.
And Sandra possibly had a comment. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Council and Mayor and Ms. Kinsler, a lot of these, including the animal ordinance, those all came back up because of the recodification. Because if you remember, the city attorney and I went through that twice every page for a year and a half. And the animal ordinance was one that was so dated from 72. That's why it's being looked at again. It had things in there like, you know, the animal would be slain, and, you know, those things are just so dated that
That you had to clean
a
it
lot
up.
of the
Yeah.
ordinances that are coming back right now are because of that recodification process, because they are dated.
Thank you for that. That's, that's a good explanation. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Just looking at the website, where can I easily find the open meeting notice for the Police Advisory Committee meeting tomorrow night?
So you go to public meetings on the homepage. There's a big yellow button there. It says public meetings, and click Police Advisory Board and click Agenda.
Okay, I'm at the home page.
So there's a button on the homepage that says public meetings. So if you're right here, I'm on my phone, so. And you scroll through, it says public meetings. It has little people, big yellow button right there. Click public meetings.
Okay,
You click on boards and commissions, and you go down, find the Police Advisory Board on that list, because it's all the boards and commissions. They're on there somewhere. And then when you click on there it is, Citizens Police Advisory Board, it's like the fourth one down. And it's right there. So click on the agenda, and the 9/19/18 meeting is right there. Just click on it, open the agenda.
okay, now, correct me, Sandra, you might know the answer to this better. Someplace in the Open Meetings Act, I remember reading something about if a city has a website, meetings have to be posted where it's like one click away, or it has to be readily accessible. And having to drill down like this to get a meeting notice is not very user-friendly.
3 clicks versus 1
Yeah.
click, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, the way that the city website is set up, so I can show everybody how to get there since we're here.
And that's the purpose of going to see what ordinances are going to be discussed.
Right, I mean,
to-
so
yeah.
normally people would see
We're
the, I
gonna
mean,
keep a
normally this
schedule.
is what you would see. I mean, I was on my phone,
Uh-huh.
so you would just click public meetings,
Okay.
Citizens Police Advisory Board, and it's there, the agenda. And it opens all the agendas. You click on the agenda for the meeting that you want, and there it is.
Four clicks.
And so,
But you're never going to be able to click 1 click when you have more than 1 meeting, because you're going to have to click on the correct date.
there's, I mean,
The correct commission.
And the
there's a-
correct committee,
yeah,
that's
mhm.
correct.
correct. So unless you put them all on the homepage, every single committee you have, which would make your homepage look absolutely horrific with all the committees on there, there's no, I mean, we've talked to web people. Brandon, the guy who actually builds websites, he thought this was perfect. Because he says, yeah, it's public, it's pretty self-explanatory. Public meetings, the list is all right there, you click on it. He thought it was very user-friendly. And, I mean, it clearly states what, I mean, the agenda minutes, it's not, so he thought it was a great way to get it there, I mean, versus keeping it on the homepage.
it's really just 3 clicks. The first one, you have to go to the website, so that doesn't count as a click.
Okay. What I keep on hearing more and more from people that our website is not user-friendly.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
had a couple of complaints, and Ms. Malloy was one of them. And I think it's because we move stuff around and residents get used to finding it in one location. And when y'all council requested that we make it user-friendly, so we've been doing piece by piece because Brandon does have a full-time job.
Sure.
And so we've taken section by section, and we've drilled it down quite a bit. And there was a lot of pages, that Revise said that weren't even getting visited. So we got rid of some of those pages, and we've made it very condensed, and we try to put every section. We found out that people were visiting the website for code, utility billing, municipal court, like how to pay the utility bills, public meetings, council meetings, agenda is a live meeting. So we put those
Tell them
all.
about the Lions Roar, because I found this one fascinating. We used to put all the Lions Roars up there. Throughout the whole year, one person clicked on the Lions Roar.
Oh, my gosh.
So we moved it to only keep the current Lions Roar available, and where residents were used to finding it was under the quick links of the old page, and so now it's still under quick links, Lions Roar, and it'll bring up the most current Lions Roar versus keeping an archive, what you saw, where you saw the agendas and minutes and it was a pull-down chart, is what they used to see for the Lions Roar, and people they just weren't visiting it. So we thought maybe just keeping the current one up there would have more people visit, maybe more the current one. So we'll find out at the end of the year. Revise will be able to tell us, hopefully keep better statistics, and tell us what pages are being visited more often than not. But it looks like on it, filling out the form is getting visited a lot, code enforcement.
Okay.
Utility billing, municipal court, and PD are like the big ones, and then of course, community development because of all the building and
Sure.
permitting. But other than that, the website doesn't get many visits.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, I think that's going to be a whole nother topic, don't you think, for discussion?
And we
Because-
can give
yeah.
you a report. Once we have
Right.
a year's worth of data, we're going to be able to give you a report, and then,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we can probably make a good sound decision. Because we're also, you know, in contrast, getting a lot of good positive feedback on the on the
Right.
website. So I think it just depends on the
Yes, I
user.
wanted to ask.
Ms.
got one
Rodriguez,
more comment.
Let me ask.
Crystal
Counselor
and Ms. Kelly,
Rodriguez,
I
she
just
had a comment.
was just curious, for our bilingual people, because I know we have a big population of that, is there a way that, like, you know how Google Translate
Right.
does that, is there something where our strictly, you know, Spanish-speaking population would be able to kind of,
Not that there's not.
No,
is there?
there's not a user-friendly. We're required by the state to make sure that the print is large enough for people with vision issues to be able to read it. So we made sure when we developed the website that the buttons and everything were real big and easy to read, or, you know, that can read. But as far as translation, no. But there's always apps you can download, or you can just change it in your settings, and all your websites will be translated into whatever language you want it to be.
okay, thanks, that's
Good.
just curious about
And
that.
Councilor Martinez, one more comment, and then we've got to finish up, yeah.
Do we need a new bulb for the projector?
Yes, it just went out
Looking
just
dull,
5
isn't
minutes.
it?
5 minutes ago. It was fine earlier when
Thought it
we
was just
tested
me
it,
looking
and
at it.
right now,
looked
when we
purple
switched
dull.
over, the bulb is getting ready to go out.
Okay.
Okay.
So as far as the ordinances, what I hear Ms. Kinsler is going to do is try to get the ordinances as they go through the directors to come to us when it's put on a particular
I'm going
committee's
to have the
agenda.
director send everything to you,
Just send
every
everything.
agenda. Because what if, I think it was Counselor Alcacer that brought it up, if there was something of interest to her that she might want to attend a meeting, that way we're covering all bases. It's going
Okay,
to get, you know,
that
you're going
sounds
to get a
good.
lot more emails.
Yeah.
But I'll just tell the director, send you everything. Every time there's
Okay.
a committee meeting, that way if there's an ordinance with it, we know you have it. And if there's not, but you're interested in attending, you'll know what's on the agenda.
Okay. And the only other one that I have that we talked about as we went door to door for the home rule, and that's the payday lenders. Payday lending, remember we wanted
That was,
to tighten up those regulations so that we could cut down. Isn't that what we talked about? I thought we did, and so that would be
Several
something.
times.
Several times, yeah. So Chief, does that need to go through a committee, or can that just come to the
Actually,
council?
that needs to go through the zoning committee. It's a
zoning.
zoning issue.
Okay.
We did some work on it already.
Okay.
We passed that on to the previous community development director, and then they were going to take it up as part of the zoning rewrite.
Okay.
That was where it was being worked. I don't know the status of it now.
All right, so then we'll just make sure it goes through and then comes to.
I knew
all
that
right.
committee had worked on
All
it, I
right.
just didn't know where it was.
And then always, I think, would y'all agree that if we feel like it needs to be vetted to a larger group like the coffee, we would just go ahead and make that recommendation as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially controversial
Sure,
Mhm.
sure. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Appreciate yes, Counselor
thing,
Edwards.
when I was walking around a few months ago, a couple of people came up to me, and one was about the red light camera issue, and this one gentleman was really irate about, whether you could register your cars and whatnot. And he said, "How in the world did that get through?" And I said, "Well, I explained, went through the coffee." He said, "Well, that's not representative government." And he said, we should get feedback, take into account, like, somehow through social media, the opinions of other people in the community, not just the people who attend the coffees. And of course, I think it's great for people who attend the coffees, but that was just an issue that was raised with me about the red light issue. And then another gentleman who shall remain nameless had an issue about the boulevard concept and, how that was put forward as a good idea, which I certainly agree with. But he said, does that really represent the community? And
Well,
So we're talking about ordinances, don't forget, in this
and
workshop.
yeah, and of course, that's a red light ordinance, and we don't have an ordinance yet on Bandera Road.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
But I would
Yeah,
say,
This is another
City manager's
issue.
report, I can write that.
yeah, I would just say, maybe going back to the animal control ordinance, if we could get that on the website so people could start looking at it. I don't know, I mean, if those that are interested, I mean,
Proposed ordinance.
I would prefer not to put that thing we received on the website because I think it's misrepresenting what our intent is. And that we need to slow down on that one and go back and just see what's needed and then do one. And that's what I thought we were doing at the coffee, not presenting them an actual ordinance. It's like going after the fact.
Yeah, the coffee is just a discussion item.
Yeah,
That's all
that's
it is.
right.
So we'll do polls and questions and that kind of stuff.
Right, I think. And on the red light ordinance, I mean, that was vetted through and
Town
publicized
hall,
everywhere, everywhere. on the-
well, and
over
just
over
a
again.
a reminder, everybody in the city gets an invitation to come to the town hall meeting, and it's the last Saturday of January for the last 8 years. So, those people that come, they do represent. I always remember this statistic that when a congressman gets a letter from a constituent in Washington, D.C., they weight it. It's not just one person's, they weight it, like it represents 1,000 people or whatever. So it does, those people do represent more than just one who end up showing up. But anyway, nor here nor there. We can't solve all the problems tonight, but thank you so much. I thought it was a good
Hopefully this is a
discussion.
little bit of help.
Yes, it was. And so at approximately 6 o'clock, we'll close the workshop, the Leon Valley City Council special workshop, and then move on to, yes.